Sports bring people together and help a country unite in tumultuous times. And that's true for all kinds of sports, be it rugby, football, tennis, cricket, whatever. But if your government doesn't support your sporty dreams and refuses to spend any money on you, what did you do? Stop playing sports? Go play for another country? The government of Egypt hasn't been supporting their athletes, making them switch countries or stop playing altogether. Let's talk more. First up is how Egypt lost a third of its athletes in 10 years. You gotta spend something on your country's sports division if you want them to bag the gold or silver in the Olympics and make your country proud. But during a boxing match in the 2015 Republic Championship tournament, Abdelrahman Hamdi was punching and dodging his opponent's jabs. He believed he'd win and engrave his name among the top sportsmen of his country. But that didn't happen because his sports journey was cut short when a massive blow from his rival on his head shattered all his dreams. He collapsed on the ground. But this was back in 2015, and since then, it's reported that Egypt has lost around 350,000 athletes over the decade due to such injuries where they weren't compensated and no medical was provided to them, which is crazy because it equals more than a third of its total active athletes. Next, we have athletes abandoning due to medical or financial reasons. It's written in the Egyptian constitution that everyone is entitled to practicing sports. State institutions and society must discover talented athletes, nurture them, and take the necessary measures to encourage practicing sports. But the figures that were issued by the Egyptian official bodies don't match what's happening in real. And now for sports medicine in Egypt. Why aren't there more athletes active in Egypt? Wanting to understand this, a poll was conducted for this investigation, which included 200 retired athletes from different teams and individual sports. Now, this research showed that the main reasons behind athletes deserting their professional career has been the poor state of sports medicine and the low financial returns. 19.1% of the Egyptian survey showed that injuries and the poor state of sports medicine system made the athletes quit their budding career and find something else to do. Then, according to the 42.6% of the total surveyed samples, also showed this to be ranked second in the secondary reasons list for athletes quitting. The injury of Abdelrahman Hamdi convinced his friend Mahmoud Mustafa to also abandon his sports career. Of course, when the players aren't provided better facilities and medicines for their injuries, players aren't going to think this career direction worthwhile because in their eyes, their career isn't important for the government. Rita Ibrahim, a professor at the Faculty of Physical Education and in charge of rehabilitation of injured athletes at one of Egypt's sports clubs, says that one of the biggest problems in the Egyptian sports sector is the lack of dedicated sports medicine units at most clubs. He goes on to explain that a sports medicine team at any club needs to have an orthopedist, a physiotherapist, and a sports rehabilitation specialist. But this isn't the case here at all. Sports medicine teams are only available in Premier League clubs, which is, according to Rita, a very dangerous matter. He thinks that youth centers and other clubs are the largest base for athletes, and the medical care absence at these facilities is very dangerous for the future of the athletes. Other people have also been agreeing with his perspective, like Abdelrahman Abdelaziz, a specialist in sports injuries and physical rehabilitation. He worked in a 4th Division club where he was the only sports injury practitioner for the first team and the entire junior teams. When he moved to another club, he and another specialist alone provided services to the entire club without any doctors. There was no one there for the athletes, making it extremely difficult for them to get better after an injury and start working again. And these people who were there were usually overworked or had too much on their hands at one time. More studies have shown that the medical services provision is completely in shambles in many sports sectors. Research by Mustafa Mohammed Abu Al-Saad, who is also an ambulance services specialist at the Egyptian Ambulance Organization, showed that the main failure factors included almost no dedicated first aid person available at clubs or sports youth centers. The study also proved that these clubs had no well-equipped ambulances either, and the Egyptian Ambulance Organization sent minimal medical emergency cars during any games. First aid kits are also not available for these players, and neither are there any sort of first aid units. If life isn't valued, these players have no reason to risk their health and life to play sports. They could go back to a simple job and earn for themselves and their families. Next, we have low financial returns. Al-Bahari belonged to a very poor village and since the age of 10 wanted to become a goalkeeper in a major club, but in order to get there, he had to advance in the junior leagues. He did all that and then moved to 3rd and 2nd division until he ended up as a goalkeeper for Gazelle Shaban Al-Qam club when he was 30. But that's when his dream started to fade away into nothing, when he realized that he no longer could spend more money without getting any sorts of returns. He claims that the financial return over 10 years of playing was not at all equal to what he spent for his transport to and from his training sessions and matches. He later made a heartbreaking decision and quit football altogether and permanently sought another career. More research showed that people quit playing sports because of the poor financial return, and they preferred quitting over working like that. Now, if people actually had to play sports like that, of course they'd quit. It just doesn't seem worth it. it. Egypt needs to start investing in sports if they don't want their players to look for different careers. Next, in other related news, Egypt needs new sports law that matches aspirations of modern republic. Amendments need to be made. The whole of Egypt must know that. So now the Egyptian Senate discussed its Youth and Sports Committee's report that suggested making some amendments. Senator Baha El-Din Abu Shakwa said that sports unites people and creates an atmosphere of friendliness and understanding. He also stressed that they need to have sports laws that match the aspirations of the modern republic and are in accordance with the Olympic Charter. The amendments will include aiming to develop committee work controls to have better practice of sports in Egypt and have some mechanisms that review the security and safety procedure and services of the sporting facilities, along with regulating the athletes and their use of supplements. If this actually happens, it'll be revolutionizing for athletes and anyone who'd want to become one in the future. So keep hoping, Egyptian athletes. Change might just be around the corner. Egypt dreams of Winter Olympics debut after 40-year absence. Good things are coming for Egyptian sports. Beaming with pride and watching the Egyptian flag raised at the Olympics is a very common professional athlete's dream in Egypt, but it's not as easy to achieve as it might be for other countries and their athletes. This dream is especially more challenging for less-known sports in Egypt, such as winter sports. It's because of Egypt's extremely hot climate that it's hard to imagine a scene of winter sports there, but there's a community that's striving to make that happen. Khaled El-Shabakshai and Ahmed Ala Fayed are professional winter sports athletes who have just registered at the International Ski Federation and are excited to represent their country in the Winter Olympics 2022 in the categories of skiing and snowboarding. And now for squash player Mohamed El Shorbagy's switch to England. Egypt isn't known for their support and investment in sports. That's basically what we've been talking about in this video. And while many players quit playing the sport, some love the game too much and switch their countries. Mohamed El Shorbagy, a squash player, was called a traitor and a sellout when he announced that he'd joined the English national team. But he isn't the first one who's competed for a completely different country. Experts say that this is because of the problems of athletes feeling underpaid and under-equipped. There also aren't many sports teams apart from football, and that too is very basic. Athletes in Egypt have to suffer obsolete regulation, minimal payments, even after bringing medals and victories on international levels. It's easy to point fingers at people, but we don't know what they were going through to finally give up on their own country. Researchers and experts are saying that Egyptian athletes joining other national teams are rebelling against a painful reality and want to make something of themselves, which isn't possible if they continue playing for Egypt. We can't blame them for thinking about themselves when their country doesn't want to. Explaining his choice, El Shorbagy said that England gave him all the support he needed, completely opposite to his home country, where no one paid him any mind. These are the words of the man who was labeled a traitor. If Egypt wants their players not to leave their country to play for someone else, they need to make some real changes real fast. That's a wrap for this video. How do you think Egypt can support their athletes better? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Bye!